is probably the big one. But he fell a little short, and ever since then, couple on and off retirements. So what are we at now? 2 maybe? Not sure.
Not as many as Joey.
Well,
I think he wants to settle the rivalry with Swindle Melons.
Is that what it is?
That's what did he say? What was his claim?
He's like, if that arrogant captain or something places higher than me, I'll retire or something.
Yeah.
It was something
and
like
then he
that.
didn't make it to TI.
Yeah.
So maybe he didn't carry it out because he didn't make it there. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
There's always gonna be crap talking, and it's always gonna be like, whatever.
When I think of ROTK though, I think of a loud player person.
Yes.
I like that he calls himself the cheerleading captain, because if you're around where he's playing, it's always noticeable where IGV is playing, because they're just
that's why I was surprised
so
in the video when the players are like, yeah, it's pretty calm, he's pretty chilled, and everything's nice and happy, and it's hugs, and I was like, is this the same guy I hear screaming his head off in the background when we hear all the practice matches?
It's crazy.
Maybe some of that's probably as well some of those other guys playing on tons of different teams. Maybe one time you get an ally that gets a little angry every time there's a mistake. That stuff really hurts your morale as time goes on. So, if they can keep playing together and keep improving, I mean, they've got great players.
Yeah, I mean, it's a legendary lineup in many ways, isn't it? Other than Freeze, who, no disrespect, just doesn't have quite the same name yet, but aggressive, fabulous player. FY and Fenrir have been two of the very best players in the world from time to time over the last 5 years. It's such a legendary lineup. You think that can't possibly fail.
And yet they have kind of disappointed, I feel like, this tournament so far. I think VGJ going into this, I was expecting big things from them. They came second at Star Ladder. They did really well against Team Liquid, who was at their top form at that point, and here they are in the lower bracket.
Yeah, and don't forget, this is an automatic invite for Kiev.
Yeah.
The pressure's
so
off
we are
for them,
expecting them to do well.
Yeah, the pressure's off, but at the same time, they're performing in front of their home crowd.
I think for a lot of the teams, though, once they actually want to qualify for Kiev, that's actually more important for them than actually winning DAC, I would say. I don't know. If you're a team, you're like, okay, we need to get invited to Kiev. That's what they've been working for 3 months.
Sure.
And then once they finally get invited, a weight's off their shoulders, and then they can relax a little bit and maybe not go into overdrive, perhaps. So, I don't know.
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, the prize pool's like 5 to 6 times bigger for the major. Sure. I mean, that's a lot of what teams play for. Getting the big W is amazing, but it's just not the same as getting the payout and the W. That's like it's like TI, majors, everything else is the pecking order.
It's not over for them yet. It's not like they're going to lose necessarily right now.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about their opponents, so why don't we do that right now? They do have a very, very good opponent, Team NP. They came into this one as pretty much the underdogs. Many people, including this panel, I would imagine, thought this team would be bottom of their group, and they'd be in this bottom half of the bracket, and that's where they are. But that's not quite the full story, Shiva, is it? Because they were so close to getting a top 2 spot, and then somehow got robbed of even third.
And I feel like in NP's case, in terms of pressure, they would be a team to falter under that, and it would be so sad to see them go out first. Somehow I'm kind of thinking that might happen, though, best of 1. But they were so close to being the upper bracket. It is actually, I feel like it's kind of a typical story for NP.
But it does feel like that, doesn't it?
But they had some really good games as well. They had some terrible games. They had some really good games. So all they got to do is hit the right stride here. They had a lot of prep time. These guys are theory crafters. I feel like they know what they're going to draft when they come into this. And
I hope
hopefully
so, because that was going to be my question to Ben. Peter said yesterday, he loves these guys, but at the same time, they drive him completely mad when they start doing this crazy theory crafting stuff. If they could just stick to something that works and that's in the meta, they would do really well.
Please, they have EE on their team. You're asking for too much there. We all have a little bit of EE in us, you know.
Do we have a bit of rapier in us?
Oh yeah, I mean, even more than that. He's just bonkers. Even in the 1v1, he was bonkers.
We wouldn't want it any other way, though, would we?
That's why I like watching NP. Yeah, they're a team to cheer for. You never know what's going to happen.
It's true.
It's great.
So what do you think will happen in this one? Will they go back to a more standard? Because it's best of 1, right? Is that not playing to their strengths, though, Ben? Is that not saying it's best of 1, we'll either be utterly awful or we'll be absolutely amazing?
I don't think it's going to be that direct.
I don't know what NP's strengths are.
Come on, they're going to have
best of 1.
They got a strat planned. They're going to do it. Maybe it's gonna suck, but maybe it'll be well formulated. It won't have glaring holes. It might just catch them off guard and be exactly what they need. Who knows?
So you don't think they're
Flip
going to
the
go?
coin. I don't know.
You don't think they're going to go into the draft and react to how VGJ draft?
Oh, yeah, of course they do a little, but
you think they've come into this? They've got a specific game plan.
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, keep in mind SVG was coaching EG at a couple of various points.
Yep.
I think that they've gone through all the draft lines thinking like, this is what we open, how will they open? I think that's the kind of thing that they'll spend a lot of time on. They'll have their alterations that they might need to pivot to ready, and that's what they're going to do. Just go in and do the draft they want to do, and hopefully it gives them the strat they want.
Okay. Ben, what do you feel like is the matchup that we should be looking out for above all else?
Probably EE, as usual.
As usual.
First freeze.
A lot of pressure on that mid lane again.
It's always EE, man. It's always about this guy.
Very interesting when you look at these statistics. Freeze has had a much better tournament so far.
Yeah. Well, it's
he has higher GPM.
He does.
So for people that maybe are slightly unfamiliar with Freeze, you mentioned him. He was the quote-unquote unknown player of the squad. He is like the Anna, the miracle of China in this squad anyway. You know,
There's quite a few of those though in Chinese squad.
This is true, but you know, a high remark player that definitely knows what's up and is just really strong. And sometimes he might not have the best of games, but he doesn't necessarily lose his lane. And I think that is something that for Envy, either he has a good game or he loses or good lane or he loses the lane. There's not really an in between, I feel. And I feel like Freeze, it's either he plays even and it's just trading, or he wins the lane.
I was going to disagree with you, but then I remembered his Spectre game, and I was like, it really is a little bit like that.
We don't talk about the Spectre game anymore.
But that's more like lane.
It's
like a drafting issue.
This
I
is
feel
true as well,
they keep getting put in these they put themselves in these weird matchups where he's like in a dual lane that doesn't look fun, and his support leaves, and he's solo, and I'm just, why are they in this lane at 3 minutes? It's kind of bizarre sometimes, but in other times he plays mid and it goes okay. It's pretty average, but. I don't know. I guess it does get a little weird sometimes. The lanes are not always what they want. Maybe, but usually by mid game things kind of come together, and other times they just don't at all. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I'm getting less confident as we talk more.
All right, I'm going to give you some confidence. SVG.
If he's on Slaughter, they win. If he gets Slaughter, they win.
Or MSS Beastmaster. One of those
ideally
two.
both.
Or ideally both. But those two, looking at the group stages, surely those two have given you loads of confidence in the team.
Sometimes.
If they get them.
Yeah.
If they get the heroes.
But they don't always draft like that, unfortunately. MSS is really stable, though. I think he's my favorite player on that team in terms of performances. AUI mostly hit, but sometimes he misses on a couple of MSS has really been the stable rock and very solid performances on the offlaner.
Yeah, and AY solid on the Alchemist, instantly removed.
And as an April Fool's joke, we should have just done everything with the EE. Free should have been F-R-E-E-Z-E. You should have been Sheever with 2 E's in your name, too. And you could have been Red Eye with 2 E's at the end or something like that. That would have been great. You just EE-ify everything. Because this might be our only chance.
This might be our
last chance. Let's see. As we head into our one and only draft, it is best of one in the lower bracket between Team VGJ. Mr. Jeremy Lin will be sitting at home, biting his nails, no doubt, as he watches his team go head-to-head with North America's Team NP.
NP was so close to getting to the upper bracket.
They were. One game away, effectively. If they'd won one game against
one out of 3. They could have won any of the 2 games in their best of 2, and then the tiebreaker.
Then the tiebreaker, exactly. It's very unfortunate for them.
It would have been a big upset, really, if you look at before the tournament started, and then you tell me that NP got top 2 in their group. I would have been
and it was a group of death as well.
It was, I was going to say it was in the tougher group. Empire finishing second in the other group. Would you have had that as a bigger surprise than NP finishing second in their group? Because of how hard that group was.
No, I think NP may be a bit more of a surprise, I guess. But they won, so we're
okay,
GG.
So this one is going quickly, and I've got a feeling Kevin might be right on the money here because the Lifestealer came out and immediately NP locked in the Slaughter and the Silencer together.
So last time I saw them do this, I think it was EE playing the Silencer, and he went mid, and he went A fast. He went like Treads, Drum, Solar Crest, I think, which helped solve some of those armor issues. Maybe they'll do something similar. Or it could still be support, but Silencer is definitely getting a little bit of preference here in this tournament. Been seeing him cropping up more often.
I like it, especially because they draft big team fight heroes for ROTK generally. Usually the Magnus, but Magnus is banned out. Also, surprisingly, ES has been ignored, or Earth Spirit rather.
But I think it's quite obvious that NP was expecting letting the Lifestealer through. I mean, all of the bans in the first round are not very surprising. Not weird to see the Naga get banned against AUI. I feel like that happens no matter what team he's on.
Yeah, and as far as theory crafting the openings goes, it feels like VGJ was not really expecting the instant locking from NP. It took them a while to select the Monkey King here.
Yeah.
But they do it anyway, so we're going to see some early aggression coming out from them. All right, so knowing that ROTK does like those teamfight ultimates, sure they have some way to stop the initiation, but do they need something else themselves? Is Slaughter enough? You want to see some teamfight from them as well, from NP?
Yeah, some kind of gap close might be nice because when Slaughter initiates, you got to have follow-up of some kind.
Yeah.
If Silencer doesn't end up being E, I would like something like an Invoker maybe. Could be good. Seems like they're worried about late game nasty cores. Tinker definitely one of those.
Yeah.
And they are normally the ones to pick those types of heroes for themselves.
I don't really feel like they're too much of a Tinker team.
Not a Tinker team, but in terms of late game threatening heroes that can... If NP is a team that does like the game to go long.
Yeah. Now I think the question is VGJ going to ban Medusa?
It depends on if they are expecting Silencer to be run mid or not. I mean, last time we saw Medusa, was NP playing Medusa, right?
Yeah, he plays it most of the time, I think.
Yeah. And there's the Beastmaster ban, so we're going to see something new from MSS.
They need some way to help the Lifestealer out, though. VGJ, like no Magnus, so no Empower, no RP. There's no Slaughter on his team. ROTK doesn't play Batrider very often. So what actually are they going to carry? Storm Spirit is really bad against Silencer, generally speaking. So I'm trying to figure out how they're going to make this Lifestealer own. That's always what you want to do. You want to help your Lifestealer just be able to 2-shot, 3-shot people and get them around in the fights. But I don't really see a good way for them to do that right now.
Why is Monkey King not a vessel for Lifestealer normally?
He doesn't get Blink Dagger.
No, but he can jump in from a tree.
You don't want your Monkey King in the middle of a fight generally. You want him to like stay on a tree, cast his ulti, and then just sit in the tree generally, and then just throw out your strikes. He's very, very fragile, especially with the builds that people go. It's like phase battery. You have no survivability. He has very little armor, and will just die if amped. But they also need a way for them to like fight inside the Monkey King ult. A lot of the times when you see the drafts, it's like they're forced to fight in the Monkey King ult, and you're just kind of screwed after that.
So they go for the troll combo. This is quite the troll lineup right now. Three heroes that have right clicks.
I play with AUI and Pub sometimes, and he loves Troll Warlord, especially versus Lifestealer. He really likes Troll in general. He's just like, I don't know what he loves about the hero so much. It's his thing. It's his jam.
That's promising for NP then.
Yeah. I mean, they also recognize the weakness that VGJ have, banning out the Batrider, so another initiator out of the pool. What is left for ROTK? We still have a Centaur.
Centaur is okay. Tide, I would say, is actually pretty good here.
Yeah. So if he takes any damage, he'll crack and chill off the silence, maybe?
Cracking off silence and the amp is also pretty good. Dash lock control.
Well, I think during the group stage at some point, I just asked Peter, like, why is Tide not picked? Because we haven't seen him at all. And it was that the ultimate is just too long, so...
It is.
Would you still pick him?
Centaur's way more favored, but it depends on how do you want to take the fights? Do you want to take the fights and beat them when they have global up, or do you want to take fights so fast that global is not always going to be up for the fights? So there's two different ways I think to approach it. Yeah.
I actually like the CM pick here. Obviously going to have silence troubles, but for heroes like Troll Warlord and Slaughter, Slaughter a little vulnerable to disables, and Troll obviously needs a right click. I think she's a good pick. And the CM Monkey King combos, we saw it a lot in the group stage, haven't since then, but definitely was a hero that was seen as quite good.
Also kind of might force the Troll to get BKB too. You don't really want to go BKB on Troll, but
yeah,
CM's pretty annoying to deal with.
You could do like Manta maybe, but it's obviously worse than SNY.
Yep. Freezing Field too is a pain in the butt.
That's what Silencer's for, right?
Yeah. You don't want a global to CM.
Right now it looks like the best option.
You do.
You can fix that by running an Omni-Knight offlane. Having the repel. Why is that not a thing anymore?
Omni-Knight?
Yeah.
You got nerfed a lot. Repel's not 100% uptime like it used to be.
Yeah.
No, but it has a faster cast point, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think the hero's decent. Playable, but...
Apologies for the pterodactyl that somehow managed to get itself into the arena. Hopefully someone will eject that.
There's the Legion.
Ooh.
I really like that pick. basically guarantees a kill when he duels somebody. And another hero that Troll ulti is going to work with.
All their heroes are really good against Lifestealer right now. Like, Lifestealer just seems like he's, like, taken out of the game.
Yeah, this is what they're planning for. It looks quite solid for them. This looks real good. Anybody that gets Frostbite or Open Wounds, they've got Press the Attack to work on. I don't think I've seen MSS play Legion, but his ulti's kind of similar to Beastmaster's. It's like anti-BKB, guaranteed kill a guy. I think it'll be great.
Press the Attack also really good versus Open Wounds and Frostbite. They don't really have any big teamfight ultimates, and like Tidehunter Centaur not so good versus Legion Commander too. So I don't actually know what they're going to draft for their team fighter. Like the options are pretty limited right now.
Yeah, and the Silencer makes it so hard. Like all the go-to team fight supports, you're just thinking, well, but then it'll global and I won't do anything for 4 seconds and the fight will be over already.
Is there something they can draft for Freeze? I was going to say that can fix it. Is Storm Spirit an answer here?
They already have the Silencer, so I don't think it's a big deal. They can easily just jump with global, and they have nothing they can do, like, let's say, Blink Duel in the global Silencer.
So why still go for Storm Spirit?
They have to have a way to get the Lifestealer in.
Yeah.
And they have to. It has to be somebody that also does damage, and ideally somebody that gets online early kind of helps. So, yeah, it's real scary.
Yeah.
But they needed something. And Siamora, it's going to make it a little better.
True.
Does this mean that there's a lot of pressure on that Monkey King to do super well early game to make sure that there's pressure on NP, that they can't really get their timings right?
It's a great start, because if they do get a lot of kills on NP and get a bit of a gold advantage, then they can be the ones to set tempo. And then all that they have to do is make sure they don't take a 5v5 against NP, where Silencer would give advantage. So maybe they could get into some kind of split push game, perhaps. It would help, and CM is good for that. Monkey King is good for that.
Yeah.
That's maybe one advantage they have, that MP's roaming is a bit worse. It's just like Slardar, really. And usually
maybe a little bit greedy?
I don't know if I'd say greedy, but their roam is not as good as Monkey King CM.
Yeah. But they still got one pick left to fix that.
That's true. And maybe if it's Silencer or Slardar and they pick another roaming hero, yeah, they'd be looking really good.
Overall, Troll, Legion, Silencer, they don't need that much help in lane.
Yeah,
so
definitely good laning.
They've got the freedom there. Right, what's the answer, Ben? What answer for VGJ?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of ROTK heroes.
Would Sand King have fit it? I mean, you see NP ban it.
Sand King is
still
not my favorite.
The
I think that they need a bigger team fighter than Sand King. But Sand King was banned out.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering, like, would that have been it? It's Abaddon.
Okay.
Abaddon is the Slardar quote-unquote counter. Saw it a decent bit. It's very good versus the Amplify, but I think their team fight's still overwhelmingly weak. Like their only AoE really is, I guess, MKO and CMO, but those are both from supports. And I don't really think they can stop the jump from NP. I like NP's lineup a lot more, regardless of what their last pick is.
Yeah, and no matter who gets dueled, Abaddon's probably not going to save them anyways.
No, but you would imagine maybe he gets a Grieve, he can at least get the silence off of himself and someone else with a shield.
No one gets Greaves though on Appa anymore. Even against Global, they don't. I don't see anyone get it.
But you you kind of need to in this draft.
They have no way to get out of Global, like zero.
Yeah, it seems a painful one.
What if they press Rage first, and then magically win the fight after?
Then they just press R on Troll and just click the Lifestealer. They just all die.
Dazzle pick
I
is so
don't
good.
really see what their VGJ's like. I guess they have like okay lanes because of the Seam and the Monkey King, but overall their team fight is just they can't take Roche, they can't win team fights. They have so much single target. There's just a lot of things that I see glaringly wrong for them.
Okay, so which way do you go prediction-wise then?
Easily NP.
All right.
Yeah, I would go for the same.
I like the NP draft too. I think it's. I think they were ready for this.
Yeah. Okay. What do you know? 3 Western voices on the panel, and they've all gone for the same team from the West. Yes. However, we'll find out over the next hour or so, depending on how long this one goes. Best of 1, winner takes all. Who advances through the semi-final of the lower bracket? Let's find out as we head back to our commentary team of Lyrical and PPD.
Thank you very much, Paul. Western bias on the panel. We got the Western Dota player captain himself extraordinaire on the panel. Are you feeling the same way that the panel has felt about the drafts?
I think the draft is great. I think NP definitely has the upper hand, but we also said that in their kind of the second game up against Newbie when they only needed to win 1 game to be a top 2 team in their group, and they kind of blew it. So, you know, it's a best of one. They only get one chance here, so I'm not going to rule out a VGJ victory.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, too, because, you know, again, it's so many big names that we've seen out of the Eastern scene, and then also a couple of really big names out of the Western scene. Just in your mind, do you feel like one of these teams kind of has an edge over the other in terms of player skill? I mean, it's maybe a little bit of a savage question to ask, but I feel like you're the guy to answer it.
This tournament's been really cool because there's a lot of Chinese teams here. You know, we saw IG now has Burning back, which is awesome for the scene. And this team with Fenrir and FY and ROTK kind of making a splash is, you know, really cool as well. And, you know, seeing them both at the major is going to be awesome as well. I think that NP definitely has some really high-skilled players, but I think they're missing something. VGJ still not really all together as a team quite yet. You know, we were a little bit disappointed in their group placement or their group like standings because, you know, they were in Group A, arguably the easier group, and Empire, you know, came out with that second seed behind OG. So we'll see if VGJ turns it up in the lower bracket. I think that they have very high expectations of themselves.
Yeah, we'll see if they can live up to those expectations or if NP can play spoiler. Early awards placed out across the map. You can see one down there by the cliff of Radiant that's going to give some pretty good vision. And it seems, do you think you can go in and try and contest the same way that we saw last time with VGJ, or just trading off those runes pretty?
There's no wards on the opposite side of the river, so it's really hard for you to tell what's going on. So it's difficult for you to walk uphill. You could easily, you know, you start walking across the river, and if you're going uphill, you could walk into 3 or 4 heroes. You really don't know. So it's a little bit dangerous, and I think that they're both just, you know, they'll both settle for their own bounty runes this time around.
And you look at this too. We have Aoi down in the bottom lane. It looks like they're going to try and go with an aggressive movement here, at the very least. But VGJ already signaling this. They send the Abo down bottom.
Yeah, and this is something NP really likes to do. They're always super committed to trying to win 3 lanes. It's pretty much the core of their strategy. They don't really kind of sack MSS very often.
Well, you know, we were talking also during the draft at the very beginning. We saw the Storm Spirit pick into the Silencer. And you said that you didn't really think it was that big of a problem. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more, what your thoughts are here?
Storm Spirit's a hero that likes to jump in. He's actually a hero that can, you know, with Storm Spirit plus an Infest Bomb, they could just go on the Silencer.
Okay.
And without, Dazzle might be able to save him, but it's not so bad. Silencer's more of a hero that they'll try and pair it with the Legion Commander duel so that way no one can help the people. Oh, actually
up top. They're going to be able to go on a 1437, bringing him low. That is going to be first blood. Aggressive picks it up. That's a great way to start for VGJ.
Getting a little bit too aggro in these duel lanes. NP choosing a 2-1-2 setup, and VGJ kind of committing to the tri-lane. And Monkey King tri-lanes are nothing to joke about.
Absolutely. He's a monster. FY in the mid lane so far, pretty even across the board in CS. It does still sort of come up with a bit of a problem in the laning stage for Freeze, right? It feels like Eternal Envy is just getting so much free harass in here.
Silencer is a tough matchup for pretty much anyone, I think. The Glaives, being able to orb walk as a mid laner. A lot of orb walkers don't really get picked anymore. It's kind of like, what, like Silencer and Clinks? And I'm trying to think of another
Jakiro?
Yeah, Jakiro, I guess. With the liquid fire every once in a while, but yeah, orb walking is pretty annoying to deal with for a mid laner, but Storm will be able to fall back into the jungle and farm a lot faster than Silencer will during like the early to mid game.
Okay, well, Monkey King getting pushed out a little bit here by MSS. 1437 in the area, getting a pull off as well. Actually jumps onto the tree. As he landed, it broke, and now it's going to be a stun onto FY. And it almost is going to bring him down. MSS, a little bit of the movement speed advantage. They're going to keep the pressure on. Oh, just barely able to get away.
Fly away, Monkey King, fly away.
What a hero.
You'll never catch me. Better hurry up, man.
Yeah, Dazzle's on top of him, but he can still just keep the movement on. Tango's a tree. He wasn't sitting on that one like we saw last time, but we'll be able to make that movement in towards mid now and maybe apply a little bit of harassment onto Envy.
Space created.
Yeah. So early on, Storm Spirit just a little bit behind the Silencer, although there's 6 denies coming out from that Silencer. As far as all of the lanes go, actually, it looks as if it's fairly heavily into the favor of VGJ outside of that one particular lane. Do you think that they need to be at all concerned about the Legion's lack of farm here?
The Legion will catch up. Now that we see Monkey King kind of roaming around, it's going to free up Legion to really CS a bit more. It was, you know, he did kind of chase the Monkey King there, trying to make something happen, so that was a bit unfortunate for him. Would have been a nice kill for him, but he'll catch up. I'm not worried about MSS. He always finds a way to find some farm.
Okay. There is a pretty big creep wave pushing in here, so Aggressive going to get a lot of farm. And now this movement in towards the mid. FY wants to find a way in on top of the silencer. And maybe with Envy very far forward, they can do it. Thinking about going for the courier, but instead just rotate in towards mid. There's the crush. The counterplay onto Freeze. Actually, Envy going to get stunned from far away. Getting up close and personal, but Freeze goes down first. They take down VG as well. So 2 go down for NP, only 1 for VGJ.
Yeah, nice kill. Both really had the same idea to gank mid there, but VGJ brought bigger numbers, and they also had the tower to help them out with a couple hits. So 2 kills for VG. I think it actually benefited them quite a lot. Getting those early kills on your support heroes, especially Crystal Maiden, a hero that's very level dependent, especially in the early game, is huge. And we've seen Monkey Kings that have picked up a couple early kills, really kind of, you know, get that early phase boots, finish their PMS, also have the Orb of Venom, and they're a huge threat. You know, into that like 5 to 10 minute mark.
Yeah, something that I've heard a lot from different people is that this is a hero that doesn't farm very well, the Monkey King, but if you're able to get involved and make those kills happen, you can snowball from there, and even just applying pressure onto the Dazzle constantly when he wants to get these pulls off.
Those early game items really enable you to kind of abuse other heroes that don't necessarily have like the items and levels they need to defend themselves.
Okay. Well, Abaddon topping the CS charts right now at the beginning. You can see, though, that ROTK under heavy fire, and, well, they are going to be able to punish him in spite of that high CS. Aoi picks up a kill for himself.
Yep, nice play by SVG, level 3.5 on the Slardar.
I thought that they were going to be going for trying to break down that tree there, but the jump in, boundless strike jump is going to come out as well. Connects onto 2. They're starting to stack up the damage. Great comes out on a 1437. Press the attack to take off and make a little bit of a movement speed advantage for him, but they still will fall to the Crystal Nova. MSS trying to salvage something, but there is no chance for a counter kill. Strong lanes for VGJ.
Yeah, absolutely. Monkey King, super strong laner. We talked about, or the panel talked about VGJ kind of lacking in team fight, and that's like definitely true. They gave up a lot of options for better team fight to have kind of stronger lanes with the Monkey King and Crystal Maiden supports.
So would you say that right now this is sort of what we would expect, at least in the early stages, VGJ leading?
I think that they have better side lanes. I think the mid lane is pretty NP favored in terms of like 1v1, but Storm Spirit being able to fall to the, or like retreat to the jungle, he'll be just fine. Okay. So I think that if Vici can, you know, take an early game advantage, I think Vici's making a lot of great plays. So let's give them the credit that they deserve for like their early game movements. I think that they are doing a lot of things that are going to help them win this game.
Yeah. Well, Envy certainly off to a good start as well, and in spite of the greatness that's going on there, going down earlier on as well. But Aggressive has phase boots now, building towards that armlet. And this is somebody, as the name might suggest, definitely wants to get aggro in the early movements. Do you think that's something where you could go with like a level 6 infest into the Monkey King?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's more likely that they'll make us play with the Storm Spirit when Lifestealer hits 6. That's the cool thing. That's the difference between Silencer and Storm Spirit this game, is that Silencer's going to get, or Storm is going to get level 6 and he's going to look to make a play on a lane, whereas Silencer doesn't really offer a lot of gank, or, you know, he can kind of a global silence and almost like counter initiate, but by the time Storm Spirit and Lifestealer get in, it might be too late.
Yeah, it's more dependent upon those other heroes to get that initiation. The Slardar gained a decently timed Blink Dagger as MSS is just going for a little bit of deforestation, hoping to get lucky, but will not find FY. Still going to be slowed and now looking to dive that, but as the TP comes out, well, 1437 getting gone on. Aggressive pops the rage, turns to fight. SVG is here, but we'll get frostbitten by Fenrir, and that should be the end of the engagement. Not enough movement speed. That's a lot of damage from MSS, though.
Gotta be careful. Leech Commander getting some levels. Dazzle is a tough hero to deal with when there's a lot of creeps in your lane.
They're constantly just chasing and trying to break down these cheese. FY is being a menace. And I think I just heard an infest as well, as Aggressive used it to heal up a little bit, get himself a little bit of extra CS.
Oh, looks like they're trying to help Monkey King.
Now up their top, FY gonna get out, just barely. I believe there was a troll ulti popped as well for that.
Yeah, helping out his team. Also, you could put a little pressure on the Abaddon. It's a win-win.
So far, you can see that it's relatively even across the board as far as net worths are concerned. So what do you feel like is going to be one of the big tipping points here? Any level 6s that really, change your mind a ton? We talked a little bit about the Lifestealer. Is there any sort of countermeasure that MP can put on?
NP doesn't really have a lot of great gank. They're very dependent on these Blink Daggers eventually coming out of Legion Commander and Slardar. So they're just probably going to sit back, kind of farm pretty slowly. And we talked about in the group stages, they like to play pretty defensively, and they like to react to what their opponents do rather than be proactive. So their draft is definitely set up for them to do that until they get those Blink Daggers. Then they can start being aggressive.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, Fenrir will be scouted out by this. I do believe that Sentry Ward is within vision, so they should be able to get the D Ward now. So denying a little bit of that vision away from the side of NP. And with those supports potentially rotating bottom, they could try and mount some pressure. But Aggressive has moved down here bottom as well. Kind of a hard hero to gank.
Yeah, absolutely. Lifestealer and like Juggernaut are two of these cores that are incredibly hard to gank. And Troll's got to be a little careful now.
I guess a quick Boundless Strike into a open wounds could spell his death. And
yeah, Troll matches up pretty well against Lifestealer, but if Lifestealer is the one playing aggressive, a lot of times Trolls use their melee whirling axes to give an opponent that mischance. But the Rage from Lifestealer will just take away that mischance, and he'll be able to do a lot of damage to Troll.
Interesting,
but
too.
If they get into like a man fight, Troll will definitely out DPS the Lifestealer.
I think I saw there on that Lifestealer as well, going back for the Midas, it looks like, as opposed to going into the early Armlet. Do you like that decision? It seems a little bit different.
Well, I don't know. I don't necessarily know how I feel about it. It's a tough task for him to go Armlet and get a lot done in the early game, I think. So probably just building for late game.
Ooh, building for late game there. Trying to get himself into a situation where he can carry in the later stages at the very least.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, MSS up in the top. Still getting his farm on, waiting for any of those, but Freeze finds himself a quick pick, and that's going to be SVG going down.
Getting a little greedy, going for that enemy bounty room. Pays the price.
Well, top lane, ROTK, ulti going to be popped. They do still have duel, thinking about going onto him now. This should be a duel win in just a second. Well, maybe not. Global Silence comes out. They aren't going to get the win, and they're not even going to get the kill onto him. Now Storm Spirit shows up, going to pop the Grave onto MSS, but should still be able to be ran down. I do believe stun is not going to come, but they have the damage with the Remnant.
ROTK did end up falling. I think it was either Poison Touch that finished him off, or it was like a last hit from a creep, and it gave Dazzle the kill. But yeah, Global Silence was kind of a waste there from Envy. I think maybe they just saw like something was happening top. There wasn't, all they were doing is just trying to kill Legion Commander, so.
I mean, that means that you can start to play a little bit more aggressive over the next couple of minutes for VGJ as well, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a dead spell, at least for now. I think the Global Silence is going to come into greater effect once NP starts being able to initiate the fights with those Blink Daggers. But for now, you can kind of throw it out willy-nilly.
Okay. It's sort of like that Chronosphere last game.
Well, the Chronosphere, is ideal for securing themselves a kill. The Global Silence doesn't really secure you any kills unless you initiate first. So.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, up in the top lane, Troll going to pop ulti, try and bring down this tower at least a decent amount in terms of HP. But Abaddon is a hard hero to go up against. And guess what? He's going to go Midas too. I have a feeling we might see a couple more of these as the team's prepping up for the late game. Oh, Storm Spirit in the mid. They're going to be going on to Envy and find themselves a kill.
There's that Infest gank with the Storm Spirit. NP doesn't have a lot of great tools to deal with this until they come online. These Blink Daggers could not come any sooner for them.
I mean, this definitely feels to me like it's the pick-off-oriented lineup from VGJ versus NP, just trying to go into the late stages, winning team fights. So, I mean, it's feeling like a very dead moment right now for NP in general. How do you think you try and deal with this?
I think trying to predict your opponent's pressure and reacting with Dazzle and being able to potentially save someone is most likely their best kind of win condition, or their best condition to advance themselves in this game. They could also kind of group up as a team and just kind of maybe push a tower together. They don't necessarily have the blinks to initiate, but they might be able to just click the tower down with Legion Commander and Troll and Silencer.
Yeah, I guess you could already see Aoi doing that in the top lane, pushes the Abaddon out of lane as well. You now have the Legion Commander that's rotating up towards the top.
Yeah, it's too tough for them to split up. The Infest gank with Storm is, it's too strong. They can kill anyone, so.
That was a sneaky little play there by FY, bouncing all over the place. But now the Troll ulti popped and Tier 1 gonna fall. No response for VGJ. That's a pretty good win there for NP.
Yeah, VGJ wasn't in the best position to defend that, and they saw the commitment, both bringing, Silencer and Troll to the tower. It's a big commitment from NP, so it's not a huge loss for VGJ. But I think NP's got the right idea. Definitely grouping up, playing as a team until, take some towers, get your gold that way, rather than trying to split the map and farm. I think that's just going to give opportunities for VGJ's kind of pick-off-oriented lineup to excel and grab some early game kills.
Well, it does look right now like VGJ getting into a position to defend at least, but MP is going to go right into Roshan. This is spotted out. This is a really bold move.
Very brave. This is a classic NV Roshan here. Not so sneaky, but just going for it.
Yeah, and VGJ in a position to think about contesting. All right, MP are going to back out.
It's a really tough fight for MP right now.
I guess that just forces the movement in from VGJ, and now NP can sort of back out, get their own farm.
Are they going to go for it?
All right. Dazzle Weave is popped. Aoi walking in, wants to fight, manning up against aggressive, gets a bash there as well. Roche still down to half HP. They're going to use the last word on ROTK. Global Silence still in effect as well. There's no blink daggers yet, though, and Storm's mobility makes this incredibly hard.
All right, we're going to have ourselves a little standoff here for a second. Abaddon really needs to go heal, or he's going to Shrine.
This feels like just a lull in the action,
yeah,
calm before the storm.
This is a dangerous spot for VGJ because they are, going for those Midases. They really are lacking the items that I think they might need to convincingly win this team fight. And NP gets an Aegis, they get a lot of gold from the Roshan, some experience. They can start really pushing towers, with the strength of that Aegis. And I think NP's definitely got the right idea. They need to punish these Midases somehow.
Yeah, and it's kind of an interesting little dynamic, too, because you just send the Slardar down to the bottom lane as Fenrir is going to deward this, and he's almost got his Blink Dagger done. So they can gear up for another round of pushing in towards Roche if they want, and they do take it incredibly quickly if they get a couple of seconds to their own.
Yes, definitely. Troll plus Amp from Slardar, they can put down Roshan super quick. But that Blink Dagger is going to allow them to really possibly take the fight that they want. It depends, of course, where Abaddon is and whether or not he's ready to react to the Slardar stun. He can kind of save any of his teammates if he's in the right position.
Well, Freeze up here in the top, just thinking that something might be going wrong for them. Monkey King in the mealtime, they did ping out that he was in the area, but FY is going to TP away as well. And with all these heroes TPing back home, this might open a little bit of an avenue for NP to walk towards that Roche if they want to.
Yeah, I was actually lying. They're going to global when Silencer goes in, so Abaddon can't really save anyone.
Okay.
Best case scenario for VGJ, I think they should hold buyback on their cores. And when that global comes out, have buyback ready for whoever they initiate on, and then be able to take that Roche fight.
Oh, the scan's so close to hitting. They're expecting right now, VGJ, that NP would be going for the Roche, and instead NP are going to rotate in towards the jungle because they see that Abba, and they want to try and shut him down first. ROTK about to get gone on. SVG finds him. Aoi's there as well. There is still a tier 1 tower to TP2, but it looks like VGJ not interested. They're just going to sacrifice ROTK. So a free pickup in 30 seconds with no ABBA on the field.
Yeah, but VGJ's hitting both of the side lane towers. Not really too bad of a trade for VGJ. That was a smoke. They didn't really know where MP was, but as soon as they revealed themselves, they were ready to start hitting the mid tower. And it looks like they're going to take this top tower as a result. Well,
Freeze is a hero or a player that the panel was talking about a little bit. Definitely the least known of the players on this team, and he's played this Storm Spirit time and again. Very knowledgeable. Ooh, almost gets caught there by SVG, but he seems to have an affinity for it, and I feel like even though it was a little bit of an awkward matchup against the Silencer there, he's certainly played a good one so far.
Yeah, he's playing well. He's playing smart. Storm Spirit's early game is not easy nowadays, and he's starting to transition. We're getting to the 20-minute mark. He's almost got his Bloodstone. He's going to ramp up his farm here, and he's got Crystal, Maiden Aura as well to work with, so he could get really big this game. I was thinking about item choices for VGJ, and they bat him with the Midas. He might go that like Midas. Oh, he is going the Midas Radiance build that we see, but hopefully, I think Lotus Orb is a huge item for him at some point in this game.
Yeah.
They really need some tools to remove Global Silence.
On right now, just going balls to the wall, freeze, brown boots and a bloodstone. Doesn't get a whole lot more greedy than that.
That is the build.
I mean, do you have to go back for a Yule Scepter now potentially on Storm Spirit to try and deal with that global, or you just keep up the aggression?
Lotus Orb would be fine on Storm as well.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, Aoi just hitting away at this tower. They're going to take it down, and that is 2 of the 3 tier 1s already out of the way for NP as they continue to mount up this early aggression.
Trolls really farm, but they're still, you know, they're putting some pressure on NP's tier 1s. Not the worst trades for them. They're not getting the towers, but they're close.
Yeah. And actually, Aoi just going to go all the way in. Why don't you? ROTK's there. Or is he going to end up getting caught out? Pops the ulti. That is absurd.
He didn't bash. In a best of 1, he doesn't bash.
Got to hit the bash key. Yeah, there were a lot of hits in there, too.
There was a lot of hits in there. I'm sure like the next hit on a creep he bashed or something. Poor guy.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, Sanji Nyasha completed. Mask of not Mask of Madness, excuse me, Morbid Mask. We do also have the Blink Dagger that was just newly minted for the Legion Commander. And
looks like Aui's got one queued up as well.
Oh, all right. What do you think about the Troll Blink? Do you like it?
I'm sure it's fine. Any kind of initiations, he's got to follow up.
Well, this is the start of it now. Everybody's going to blink in on top of the ABBA. And ROTK was there a second ago, but now the tower's going to be gone too.
30-second cooldown on his ultimate there.
Troll's still one of those heroes that I feel like got nerfed pretty hard, but it's making a bit of a comeback here.
He's he's anti-Lifestealer.
Okay.
So, you know, we see a ton of Lifestealer. We see Lifestealer getting picked up in the first phase. You build your lineups to really work with Troll, and you know, he can definitely see some success. And like they were talking about on the panel, it's one of Aoi's favorite heroes. It's not like we see a lot of the teams playing it. He just seems to have some sort of preference towards the hero, and he knows how to, you know, take it to its max potential.
Well, the next round of movement comes in. There was a ward spotted that was placed down by NP. There's a sentry ward up there, although it does not look like VGJ have any interest in going in right now.
Yeah, free Roshan. NP's looking good. Aoi is poised to, you know, be a huge force this game.
Oh, and this is definitely the type of NP that people were expecting to see at some point, and it's starting to show up now. Really good performance for them so far. For VGJ, though, what's the next play for them? I mean, you have this Aegis. You just need to try and hold the line to the best of your abilities?
It's really tough. They went for these Midases. Abaddon has no items. Lifestealer, he's got a couple items. Storm Spirit, you know, he's got Bloodstone and Treads. He's not really in fighting shape either. Right now, anybody who gets dueled is dying, and they need ways to remove Global Silence, and they need to potentially find a way to split up NP, but I don't think NP has any reason to split up, and they can push towers incredibly quick with Troll. So that's going to make VGJ kind of face them at some point.
Well, we did see in the last game a little bit of a comeback after all of the Tier 1 towers dropped down for LFY. Granted, they did end up going on to lose that game, but is this a lineup that you feel like VGJ can come back for? I believe the net worth lead right now, if we can take a look at it, is still relatively even. So do you feel like NP is that far ahead, or is it mainly just that they're going to be able to build on this tower lead that they've got?
No, I don't think they're that far ahead. I think it's just really obvious to see who has the better team fight right now. Okay. And VGJ is respecting that by not engaging. I think if they do try and defend that tier 2 tower with like everything they have and take a team fight, then they're going to lose that team fight, and NP's just going to take that tower anyways. So it's they gotta be careful about how they operate and how they decide to fight. Split pushing is a really great option for them right now until they get a couple more items.
So it's more about like.
You gotta find the right fight.
Gotta find the right fight.
Which is really tough to do right now as when NP's grouped up as 5, especially with Aegis and Global Silence at the ready.
Well, They are looking to pressure this tier 2 tower in the bottom lane. They've got good vision in the jungle, but immediately you see the response from VGJ. They're pushing out along the top, and it does look like they're actually going to be moving back in towards the jungle and possibly smoking up themselves.
I'm not certain they're ready for this fight. We'll see how it goes. Solar Crest picked up a Batten, you know, putting off the Radiance for now, getting another armor item. I like that. I really don't want to see that Radiance rush here. I think that it's a little too greedy of them.
MKB, I believe, did get a Basher in this time, so that's at least something to rest their head on as Lifestealer inside of the creep. Freeze going to jump forward, pulls back alley, initiation.
On the fire.
They're there, they're on top of him. NB's going to get force tapped away, but getting bashed up now by the Monkey King. And it looks like NP is going to be forced back.
They blinked out, but that was a nice fight for them there. Global Sound still at the ready. But all they used was the Monkey King cooldown. It's got a minute and a half, so it will take a bit. They won't have it for this fight if they choose to defend. But it looks like they're going to go for it.
Yeah, Freeze jumping in, aggressive. Not the best fight there for them as the crush hits onto ROTK. Ulti popped.
Wait for the duel in the global.
All right, we're seeing it. There's going to be the duel. Global Silence comes out as well, but they're actually losing this fight with the Legion Commander. Grave going to come out and keep MSS alive, but now Freeze is going to chase. Couple more right clicks is going to bring him low. Now they moved on, going to be able to catch another. SVD trying to create some separation. Hits a 4-person stun, but aggressive, still there on top of Owie. Freeze finds a double, now looking for SVG. Going to be able to run him down as well. They're all over him, 3 dead. NP.
16 Bloodstone charges now for Storm Spirit. Storm Spirit had a lot there. Put in some work.
Now he's building into that answer for the Global Silence as well. Has the Yule Scepter up very shortly. This is feeling like a turning point in VGJ finding answers for the NP team fight. Just wait for all those ultis to come out and then make the move.
I'm curious what happened there. Maybe Weave had worn off from a previous fight. It seemed like when Legion Commander dueled at a Batten, Lifestealer was also kind of hitting him, and he, let's see, Weave's like half strength. He was just getting, he took so much damage. I guess the tower was hitting him too.
Yeah. And I mean, you get the extra little bit of armor yourself, although there weren't many heroes from NP that were hitting VGJ.
Yeah, Silencer really wasn't standing and fighting. He was pretty low on mana. I don't know, huge fight for VGJ though. You know, we saw the global and the Silencer.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah, we saw the dual and global combo, and we thought that, you know, VGJ wouldn't really have an answer for that, but they managed to survive it, and I think, you know, they went. NP kind of using dual and global to kill a Batten is, you know, not too bad for VGJ. So they would, you know, they would much prefer that over going for like the Lifestealer or the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, we saw in that special, of course, the cheerleader captain, he takes him down and then cheers his team on. They'll take that win. Duel in the bottom lane. FY pops the ulti as well. This potentially could be another one. Eternal Envy ends up taking down aggressive,
he turned into a tree.
What?
No way.
Oh my God, they don't know.
It's yellow.
All right, they got him. They're on top of him now, but FY still going to get brought down.
It's too good.
So they end up taking down the Lifestealer and the Monkey King.
SVG was like, where'd he go? His teammates were spamming ping. They're like, SVG, please. The tree does not have a yellow minimap icon.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you got the crush for, though, right? You hit a general area. You're sure you'll find him. I do really love to see those little jukes, though.
Yeah, well, I think he was just, I don't think he saw him at all. Like, he wasn't looking at his minimap, and he was still kind of staring at his screen looking for, you know, where the Monkey King had maybe jumped into a tree or had escaped. And when he immediately glanced at the tree, he didn't really see him, so pretty funny, pretty funny. I like it, little jokes, little goof.
Well, in the meantime, all this goofing around, Freeze has continued to farm himself up towards almost the highest net worth in the game, right behind that troll there. And this is a hero that we've seen time and again take over games with the Storm Spirit. Do you think that he has the potential to do that in this game, or is the disable from NP a little bit too much?
I think with a Batten backing him up, he's got a lot more freedom to play aggressive.
Oh, well, Freeze able to dodge away, does not get brought down.
Wow, that was quite the reaction. He had to have caught a glimpse of Slardar or something there, because that was quick.
I mean, did SVG stun and he dodged it there? He just didn't end up hitting it? It looked a little bit.
I think he was like potentially just kind of zipping around to get this, get the overcharge for the
for the creep camp?
Yeah, for like killing the overload. Sorry. All right, thanks, Observer.
That's great.
Yeah. No, he wanted that to just kill the creep wave, and it just happened to be exactly when Sardar went in, and then Sardar blinked, and he saw that Storm Spirit was kind of zipping at the moment, so he waited a second on the stun, and Storm Spirit just like kept jumping.
Yeah. So Abaddon, after finishing off that Solar Crest that you talked about, you liked it, helped him win that last fight, I'm sure. You also now build towards the Radiance. So that will be quite good for himself as well. I think for the Storm Spirit, I saw him building into a big item. Is that one going to be the Shiva's Guard next? So more armor for that Storm as well.
Yeah, armor is going to be huge for them in this lineup. You see Aggressive going for the Assault Cuirass as well. Is Abaddon still headed for that Radiance? I would love to see a Lotus Orb.
Yeah, he's got the Radiance queued up.
Radiance it is. Radiance isn't bad. The mischance will be very nice against the physical damage heroes of NP, as well as the Silencer. They're all trying to, you know, successfully land some auto attacks.
I mean, in my eyes, that says that ROTK wants to become a bigger factor, expecting the game to go later on.
He wants to go in and really force NP's hand in these fights. Like, you know, like we saw at that bottom fight, they kind of ended up, you know, proccing the bat and all of them. Poor Crystal Maiden here.
Yeah, this one hurts, and a quick dual win as well, up to 38 damage.
There you go.
Oh,
they're going for
Freeze. They want a party. CM's gone, but the party's going to continue. The Yule Scepter lift off, take off the silence for the moment, but the crush connects. Freeze in trouble. He's going to drop. Now looking for more. ROTK. He's going to get ran down as well. They're in his face, aggressive, looking to try and turn this. And FY actually thought about going for the ulti there, turning it onto aggressive. Pops BKB. Howie continuing the chase. Rage is there. Can they find any way to catch him and run him down, though? Does not. Oh! MSS picks it up with the overwhelming odds.
MSS.
Said that with some conviction in your voice right there.
Yeah, he's my standout player for this team. I've been a big fan of MSS for a long time.
He's doing quite a good job on this Legion Commander. More often than not, I feel like it's those Beastmasters that I see him on, those types of heroes, occasionally Darkseer as well, but showing he has what it takes here. Ooh, quite close with that blink. Actually going to catch Bashlord, making up for the earlier stage, but Freeze is not going to fall.
VGJ getting a little sloppy. They're not as organized as I thought they were.
And they found FY now up in the trees.
The wrong tree.
Oh no. That'll happen.
I thought they saw him with that ward. Or I guess maybe that little vision there, they couldn't see if he went to the left or the right one.
Yeah.
Unlucky, 50-50. What can you do?
Or potentially just a misclick on the tree is another option.
Yeah.
These things happen in the high stress situations, as they will get a D ward now, knowing that there was one up there.
VGJ still really farmed on all three of their cores. Monkey King also pretty farmed as well.
Wow. Freeze still willing to go in for these as well, and Dazzle.
Swinging a grave off.
Bash, well, they take him down. FY able to find that. Wasn't able to quite get the grave off. And another ward taken down. So the vision across the map for NP still quite good, but they're starting to lose a little bit of their grip on it.
Yeah, they've managed to take out almost all of VGJ's outer towers, and they've been placing wards on these aggressive pushes, and they've actually helped out quite a bit. But regardless, like the deep wards, they're nice, but they're not super helpful for NP because they're just 5-manning so much. So yeah, ideally, if they were like splitting the map and then VGJ was also splitting the map, they could go for some pickoffs. But it's pretty easy for VGJ to track kind of where NP is at because they're always kind of together.
Just feels to be have been an all-out assault on the early stages, and NP definitely pulling it back in and getting in the face of VGJ, but they still have to respect that Storm Spirit and the Lifestealer bomb. As far as the next couple of fights and how you see them working out, we saw that one big group up in the bottom lane for NP, but then on the retreat they kind of got shut down.
Roshan's going down quick. I think VGJ wants to defend.
Well, FY is there, has an Invis run ready to go in. There's also an ABBA on the other side, diving in deep for this one. FY goes out with the Boundless Strike, but they do get the Global Silence off. That is going to be Freeze dead because of the Legion Commander, and now chasing for more. Lifestealer under assault, going to get ran down. They're going to be able to get another big bad crush off. The CM ulti is pretty good, but it's not going to be enough, it does not look like. Oh, man. 3 dead for VGJ. Aggressive, turning to fight. Blinked away from him, though, is the Troll Warlord. Going into range for him. Still some good armor toggling there. And ROTK doing his best in the mid lane. But it looks like it is going to be NP winning this fight and potentially going to be getting a full wipe as ROTK trying his best but will not run down MSS.
That's a tough ask for them to initiate on Silencer like that, who's building very, very tanky. And for them to think that they can get that kill without Dazzle or Legion Commander reacting, that's a little too wild for me.
You felt like that was a little bit of
They have 2 defensives, like they have the press the attack from Legion Commander that's going to take Silencer out of any disables, allow him to get off his global regardless. And then they also have the Shallow Grave, which is going to save him. And you know, he actually got up to the shrine after the Shallow Grave, healed up to full. And a huge fight for MP. Not only do they win that fight 5-0, but they also get Roshan. And they're poised to go high ground here. And Abaddon's not up for 30 seconds, so I think they're going to get a set of racks.
Just a bombardment of right clicks coming in from NP. The minus armor that you have there. The duel that's been so effective at shutting down the Storm Spirit. And that's not to mention the global silence. This is what the panel said could always happen. And now they're making it work. Freeze, you got to be careful there, buddy.
Crystal Maiden has been so underwhelming this game. Like, just kind of like 0 impact. I know they haven't been like team fighting very much and it's been very split up, but I feel like he's kind of just been a walking aura. And it's no fault to Fenrir. I mean, Fenrir is not playing the hero incorrectly. It's just that hero just is sometimes just not too strong.
And to me, again, it feels like NP is really doing the best to stick together, not get caught out. Even there by the shrine, they weave up beforehand to make sure that if there is a fight, they're still ready for it. And while you do have this Abaddon Radiance completed, I'm sort of wondering at this stage, with BKBs online on a couple of the cores for MP, how effective is this going to be?
Like I said, I thought Lotus Orb was the item. I think that they need ways to deal with global silence, ways to help out with the duel, ways to help out with this like hard initiation of NP. I think Lotus Orb would be a great option for them. Somebody gets dueled, Abaddon can Lotus Orb himself, and you know he can start pumping shields and heals into them, or he can Lotus Orb. You know, he can Lotus Orb the Storm, take off the Slardar, amplify damage, and really help him out. But you know, we saw in that fight, Storm Spirit got dueled, Silencer got saved, he global, they couldn't help Storm. Storm died. He didn't buy back, which I was really surprised. He had buyback. He had like a 35-second respawn timer thanks to Bloodstone. But he kind of just watched his team just die 1 by 1 after he went down. I think he really wanted that Shivas, which he does have now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it does still feel like with that, you have a little bit of the better vision as soon as you initiate to maybe find that silencer in the fight and go for the big play. They just don't have like that normal big team fight hero from ROTK though. We were talking during the draft if maybe like Nyx was going to be an answer. The Magnus obviously banned out in the very early stages of the draft, but now their high ground defense just feels so inadequate for what they need.
Yeah, I think the Monkey King Ultimate actually does provide a little bit of team fight.
Okay.
It's, with the Basher, he kind of pretty much is like a guaranteed stun on everyone that's inside the circle. So, oh, here we go.
Yeah, they're going to be on top of ROTK. A couple missed chances in there, but already being brought down very low. FY has to jump out of his perch for the moment. God, this damage coming out. The Scotty on Troll Warlord is just so hard to deal with.
He's stacked. He's stacked for sure. They need to try and like ignore him and disable him with like Crystal Maiden or something.
Well, likewise, though, you do have getting ready to jump in at the drop of a hat. MSS, who has also been able to build up a good bit of net worth for himself. Blade mail done.
They're in a real tough spot right now. I feel like they need to initiate and kill Dazzle and Legion Commander at the same time. And I don't know if their lineup is capable of doing that.
So dream fight. You have the Monkey King Ultimate comes out. Storm jumps which one, Dazzle or the Silencer?
I think you jump the Dazzle and you kill the Dazzle, and then something magically happens to the Legion Commander. He spills his water on his keyboard, or I don't know. He has a anxiety attack or something. I don't know what happens, but something awful happens to Legion Commander.
So psychological warfare is the answer for VGJ at this point. Well, there's an initiation that comes out. Owie forced back. Just walk aggressively in their direction. I'm sure it'll be fine. Wow, that is quite a tough one. And I mean, Dazzle with the Solar Crest too. Jump forward, crush, troll, popped. ROTK, his ultimate's gone as well. Aegis still in hand.
All right, so if they can bait the press the attack, then they can have the opportunity to go on the Dazzle and kill him.
Okay.
That's something. That's an option as well. So maybe if they see that press the attack, they can force press the attack by going on Troll, and then they could potentially go on Dazzle. Like now, go Dazzle.
All right, they're thinking about it. SVG, they pop Rage on aggressive. Freeze instead, decides going to the Troll. There's going to be the duel onto the Lifestealer, bringing him fairly low. The Grave has already come out, saving Aoi 2000, and now turning onto that Legion Commander. MSS is down. They've already taken down SVG as well. So with the Aegis now down, this is an opportunity to go in as well. They're bringing down Troll, starting to take him low. The CM ulti. They managed to find a kill. The crowd, the adoration, it's coming out live. They've been able to take down 1437 as well. MSS, is he scouted in the trees? Is he really in there? They don't spot him. Oh, MSS, the trees are there. Do they take him out? Oh, they get the lift up at the last second.
He's pretending to be Monkey King.
Monkey King cosplay out of the Legion, but what a great fight for VGJ.
Yeah, the Troll was just way too far in. They managed to like pull him back behind the barracks with the Storm Spirit, and Crystal Maiden had a huge ultimate.
It's to the tune of 31,000.
He dueled the Lifestealer,
yeah.
and Lifestealer did not die. Look how tanky he is, and he's lifestealing the whole time.
With Blade Mail on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's the thing, I guess, is that if you get him high enough level, enough net worth on this guy, he did end up dying in the end, but I think you take those. Definitely.
Yes, just the casual channeling of the ultimate. Crystal Maiden. Not actually, I was wrong. It wasn't the biggest Crystal Maiden ultimate, but yeah. he did his part.
Does it bring back good memories?
Well, when I was playing, Crystal Maiden really wasn't in the meta, and it was a hero that you picked because you wanted to play it more so than it actually being a good hero.
Okay.
So, one of my favorite heroes to play in pubs. You know, for whatever reason, she's kind of just the bae, I guess.
I love that. It's appropriate that you're saying that in an MP match as well, I think.
Why, she's like the waifu, the anime princess?
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. Seems good. So VGJ grouped up together again now. Off the back of that solid team fight, can they start moving in, make aggressive movements themselves, smoke up, find NP?
They still need to be really careful how they take their team fights. It was a very opportune kind of situation for them because they had eyes on all of NP, and they could really plan their team fight and kind of bait out a lot of spells out of NP because NP was committed to trying to hit the buildings. So NP was overexposing themselves at the risk of taking the barracks and taking a big objective in the game. In a head-on team fight, kind of out in the jungle where they're all just kind of fighting each other, not trying to hit the buildings, it might be a little bit tougher.
Wow, and I mean, NP feeling very bold right now. They're just gonna turn it.
This is such an NP thing to do, man. Like, this is the stupid stuff that NP is just like, yep, guys, let's smoke and backdoor this barracks. We have the damage. I mean, I don't know if it's a good play or a bad play, but it's an NP play, and it's something that Merlini talked about it. It's an eternal envy thing, and you gotta love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. The antidote to or the cause of success. One of those two. But in the meantime, Aodon going back for the Octarine core, almost has it completed. This is starting to turn into one of those Avas that's really hard to deal with. And thinking about that level 25 that comes online, it's pretty good.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain that Lotus Orb is the item over Octarine. Like, I was fine, like, I'm fine, like, being wrong with, like, him going Radiance, and I think Solar Crest was a really good, like, intermediary item for him. But I think the Octarine's too greedy, and sure, like, it lowers your cooldown on Mistcoil and Aphotic Shield, but if you're Global Silence, you're not casting either of those.
Right. So what are you losing then by not going that Lotus Orb? And what are you sort of gaining for him by virtue of picking up the Octarine?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the scariest part of the team fight is during Global Silence for VG. And if he had an ability to remove Global Silence, that's one less thing he has to worry about. Also, it's just a good item. You can reflect spells. It gives armor. We're dealing with like an entirely physical damage team. Yeah. I don't know. It makes a lot of sense to me, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. They seem to be winning team fights without it, or at least like matching up pretty well. But it's a best of one. maybe he'll have some regret.
All right, fair enough. And I'm looking at this too, and to me, it's felt like the Monkey King ultimates have really been that factor to turn the fights.
FY is doing a lot of work, and he's getting really farmed as well.
Shadow Blade going back into the Deso now. They've been trading around that gem between him and ROTK from time to time, just to D-ward whenever they need to. And now you look across the map, and NP don't have any wards on the Radiant side of the river.
Yeah, Monkey King's a pretty good hero against Silencer. He really doesn't care about global too much. He kind of just casts his ultimate, and that's kind of that. Then he just auto attacks, and then when the global's over, he'll use his stun.
Yeah. The Orchid.
Okay, Orchid picked up.
He already had that really great answer for the global as well in the Eul's Scepter, so.
Yeah, Eul's works. It's the cheaper version. You know, it costs 3K instead of 4K, instead of Lotus Orb.
Ooh, and I don't know if NP realized this. VGJ moving in, the tier 2 tower.
NP knows. They're getting up on the high ground. They're on their shrine. It's not where they want to fight.
They go in, check Roshan. It's a long respawn timer, about the longest they could have, but.
Oh, hey!
ROTK.
How's it going? I'm here, guys. Radiance, Solar Crest, Abaddon are ready to fight.
Yeah, they don't want any of that mess. They're going to back out now further. I think they were expecting the fight by the Roche pit, expecting that VGJ was in there, but.
Yeah, they really had no idea exactly where they were at. NP's lacking a lot of the wards we talked about them having earlier.
SVG almost able to catch there on the Storm Sphere, but he does zip away. Again, Freeze having himself a nice game. I think as far as Freeze's death and kill score has looked so far, he's had himself a really decent time. I mean, 3 deaths on a Storm, sometimes that can mean that you fall out of ability to do anything, but he's still managed to have impact.
Can we check out the buyout situation?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be huge for this next Roshan fight. Storm Spirit not having enough gold. Lifestealer also not having enough gold. Buybacks on, I think Slardar could potentially buyback in this next team fight. Really anyone. I think this next, if they can get an Aegis on Storm Spirit, oh, here we go. Global.
Wow, Global popped immediately, just gonna drop him. ROTK dead.
He actually cannot cast his ultimate when he's silenced, and I believe they have the, the upgraded
Shadow Blade, Silver Edge?
Silver Edge, sorry, I was misplacing the name of the item.
That's a really cool combination, so it doesn't automatically activate that.
Yeah, so if your passives get disable on a Abaddon, you have to trigger it yourself, but if you're global silenced, you can't click it.
Wow.
So, but he buys back, there's no duel, and there's no silence.
Oh, immediate silence from Freeze, what a play. It's gonna be a grave though to keep him alive for the moment, lifting up on the Troll as well. He is inside the Monkey King's ultimate, it's gonna be dropped out of there already, but Abaddon still in this fight, had bought back, but they're doing so much damage. Owie is gonna drop, and now looking to take this a little bit further. Freeze, he smells blood, gonna take down that Dazzle, now gonna pull in Eternal Envy. Oh, NP, it looked good sir for so long, but now they're gonna lose the Legion as well. Killing spree for Freeze, and the crowd is loving it.
Did you see that FY taunt?
Oh my God.
Monkey King was dancing. He's happy.
They have buyback on a couple of different heroes, but already a huge swing into the favor of VGJ as they storm high ground. Everybody buying back, but they are not dissuaded in the slightest.
No Troll Warlord for 60 seconds. Don't think they have any reason to turn around.
What a great decision by ROTK to buy back and come and contest that fight. Another silence coming out from Freeze. This guy looks like he's hacking here. My God.
And that's that. They have 35 seconds. I think they can go back for Roshan. ROTK pings it out. First rack's taken by VGJ.
And it was just at the drop of a hat, too. You blink and you would have missed it. How quickly they were able to take that fight. And what do you feel like it was, that big determining factor that swinged it around into their favor?
They were lacking cooldowns. No global silence, no Legion Commander duel. Troll Warlord had no BKB, so he went in, he got Eul's, he got disabled by Crystal Maiden, he got grabbed by Storm Spirit, and then he just died. He took a ton of magic damage from Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden used her entire ultimate onto the Troll, and Troll Warlord, 23k net worth, didn't really have the opportunity to auto-attack anyone because his BKB was on cooldown.
And it did really feel like, I loved the combination that we had there of Troll Warlord blinking in and getting the Silver Edge off, and then they destroy Abaddon. But the problem is that afterwards, like you said, they can't take that subsequent fight after the buyback.
It's a big problem with heroes that have these long cooldown ultimates, Silencer, Tidehunter, Enigma. you use this ultimate, the other team just buys back, and you got to be ready to make a fight here.
Oh, and just watch Freeze here. This reaction, it was pre-cast, I do believe.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, and able to catch him, and that could have been one of the things that turned the fight. Press the attack and Grave used there.
That was awesome. Really, really good Orchid. Those are plays that win you team fights and win you matches.
Well, Freeze certainly putting on a show, and that was the thing too, is that a lot of people had questions about his ability going into Starladder and going into the rest of the other events that he's been a part of, but his problem was never technical skill, it was always decision making, and with this many legends on your team, that's something that you're going to catch up on really quickly.
Yeah, we see so many teams picking up these new kind of mid players. Oh, there we go.
Well, Aegis down. Can they do it again though? I mean, they're assaulting the high ground right now. Aggressive continues to hit it. They don't really have an answer. Tier 3 down. ROTK's taking a lot of damage, and his ulti is going to be pop crush now. Connects onto 3, but Free is deciding to go in. There's the Grave, keeping him alive. Aoi is still deep, but will not be taken down in the midst of that ulti. Another lift up. Yule Scepter is there. They decide to go back in with SVG, the 4 staffs, keeping Freeze alive. Aggressive continuing to be ran down. They have Scotty from Aoi. Oh, nice Glimmer Cape there to keep them alive for the moment. Now they pull back in the Dazzle, trying to turn. A Grave used on himself as well as the press the attack. A good stun comes in from SVG, but they've taken down Aoi. Now going to take more. MP are dropping like flies, and VGJ might just have done it. And GG is called.
It's too bad. I mean, props to VGJ. Really, really cool game. We saw someone kind of handled, being out team fought for a long, for like that whole midsection of the game. They dodged team fights. They were able to build the items necessary that they needed to win the game. And really, really amazing plays from Storm Spirit, I think. Freeze did awesome.
Yeah, you can see him right there smiling. He's happy as a clam. He's just having himself a good old time. Oh, Peter.
Made it to the BO3s. That dreadful, terrifying best of 1 is over, and they're moving on until tomorrow.
Oh my God, really impressive stuff. And you can hear the crowd here. This is a team that they just love oh so much, and can't wait to see more from them. Paul, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that game.
Very much, and congratulations to VGJ. They do advance at the expense of Team NP, but what a game it was, and there were chances throughout. Kevin, I think it would be fair to say that NP kind of threw this one away a little bit.
Yeah, they did a little bit. It was definitely a very tough match. It was hard to close the game out, but they had a lot of big advantages. Troll was insanely farmed. AUI had a great performance there. They had a lot of high ground attempts, but it just kept turning out bad for them, like 1-for-3 trades and stuff like that.
Yeah, it took a while for NP to get to a point where they had an advantage position, I felt. Maybe longer than it should have taken. They had a laning stage that didn't really go as well as you would have expected it to.
FY Monkey King.
FY Monkey King.
I like that.
To do with it.
Yeah.
It was pretty nice. They had a lot of trouble fighting in the Monkey King ultimate, actually, and I think Freeze did a really good job of kiting the Troll a lot, like using him when his BKB was down and just kind of catching him out in the open. And yeah, MP definitely had their chances, but sounds like a bad April Fool's joke that EE threw, but actually it wasn't EE's fault. I didn't really like the Hex too much, but overall the game was just really hard from MP, like once their BKB started wearing down a little bit, and Abba finally got his items. It took him like 30-something minutes to get online with the Midas into the Solar Crest, into the Radiance, and still no way to deal with the Aegis, or deal with Global. And finally he had the Aegis at the very, very end, and they just had to blow too many ultimates to kill him.
Yeah, it said a lot that the fight that we just saw, that was the first team fight. That was really a 5 versus 5 team fight. The rest was all skirmishes all over the place. And that was 24 minutes into the game. That was the first time where NP felt confident to try and force out a fight, but they forced it like too hard, and they lost that fight. And that wasn't the only time where they actually actively tried to force a fight. Remember when they tried to go high ground to try to force that fight, they lost that fight as well. It was, I don't know, it felt like they were not decisive enough at times that they wanted to be or needed to be. And then when they needed to be, they just,
I would have loved to see the damage done at the end of the game, though.
Oh, I think we will still see the damage done.
Abba actually usually has surprisingly high damage. He's kind of just like one of those heroes that does a lot, especially when you go the Radiance Octarine build. You just don't die, and they knew they had to address him, but
this moment here, if MSS hadn't dueled the CM, that would be a guaranteed easier Lifestealer kill. He does get him barely with the overwhelming odds, but like every kill that they got was so hard for them to get. Like just the fact that they had to duel the Abaddon almost every time made the game tough. They actually get the Storm Spirit in this engagement.
This is where I thought they won, when they had the nice press the attack. MSS, it was like 25 minutes in, he had Blink and Phase, and he was still working on his Blade Mail. He was very underperformed in this game, but he had really good press the attacks. Like in this particular fight, he saved the Dazzle, and they ended up 5-0ing them, I believe. And that was where MP, I thought, okay, yeah, they just need to, take ages, take it slowly, but pushing high ground is always a different story. Never is as easy as it seems.
Ben, do you think it would have been better if they started dueling different heroes than Abaddon in the late game, or do you feel like if they dueled somebody else, he would have been able to prevent their death?
I don't think he would have been able to prevent their death. I mean, maybe he can cast Solar on them, but I still think they could have just done the damage through it.
At this point, Ben, did you feel like they maybe got a bit too pushy?
They had to fight into the MK ultimate, and then he tries to blink out, but his blink gets disabled, and then they end up taking him down in the fight. And he was very aggressive about his blink. He like blinked into the Rex with no creep support and decided to try and hit the Rex. But they didn't actually have Force Staff on Dazzle, which is a big deal, whereas
this was the big one.
This was the big one.
It was the big one.
So CM Force Staff's away on the bottom, and then AUI is just caught in the middle of nowhere, and they're forced to fight into this Monkey King yet again.
Perchy said this wasn't necessarily Envy's fault. Is it anybody's fault? Is it lack of vision? What is this? Is it not able to read the game properly about where VGJ was at that time?
In terms of them engaging?
Because they were trying to sneak the VGJ was trying to sneak the Roshan, and P decides to check it.
SVG went in, I believe.
SVG went in.
He was going to stun, but there was an Orchid queued up, probably because of Radiant Vision, that they had a ward down or something. They see him about to go in. They queue the Orchid up. As soon as he's in, he gets silenced, which basically means now SVG's way out of position.
Yeah, so he gets Graves, he gets Force Staffed away.
Yep. Then at that point, the fight is kind of just straightforward. So pretty much the last fight in the game here. This is after all of NP had already bought back from that previous team fight loss. So yeah, absolutely over at that point. Definitely a tough game, but I do think the NP was ahead. I mean, there was a very equalized gold for the first 20 minutes of the game, it seemed like. And they had some of the tools that they needed to take the win, but they just couldn't do it. They never got a reassuring Rax. Even the one time they got on the base with the smoke, the unfortunate glyph was up. That would have been a nice little advantage to have. But even with map control, they had trouble getting kills and finishing the game off. It was definitely tough there. Maybe you need a little bit more disable. There's a couple times I feel like if AUI just got one more bash, would have completely changed the fight.
He was
like on Storm a few times, on the Abaddon solo. There, just a little bit of luck might have pushed him over the edge.
I do feel like at the start of the game, we all said, NP won this draft. So that VGJ won this game as, in the end, convincingly as they did. That's a big testament to VGJ moving forward.
Freeze's Storm has always been really, really good. I think it's his best hero, and they just made him shine. He played really, really well. So I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, I think that was probably the most enjoyable Storm Spirit I've seen since Samael at TI5, probably. It was very, very good. Let's take a look at the scoreboard and show you. Well, let's show Ben the damage, because it was Ben that wanted to see the damage.
All right, there we go.
And here it is.
Oh, there's no damage.
It's to the right.
Oh, well.
What if the observer moves the slider to the right? It would mess up PGL's production.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we get the damage, sometimes we don't. So, unfortunately,
the net worth on Radiant too. They have 3 people above 20,000.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure the Midases would pay off, but they certainly did. That was probably a big thing about them remaining competitive, despite NP having big map control. So. They pay off in the end.
It was also that ROTK kind of threw himself at the enemy so many times when they killed him at the early stage of the game. Yeah. And at the same time, you still have a Lifestealer and a Storm Spirit, and they were just farming away.
Yeah, the positioning was huge. He was always in the front, forcing NP to go on him, not to go on the back line, the CM, the Storm Spirit, stuff like that. By being in the front, he's a ward, he's harder to kill. I mean, it looked scary once they had the Silver Edge, but they had to use Global Silence and Silver Edge just to kill him and duel. That's like all of their big ultimates, and from there, how do they win the rest of the fight?
If they had an Orchid, that would have been way easier. You can just Silver Edge Orchid and kill him, because they have actually no save for the Abba if Abba gets Orchided. So it didn't really seem like they expected the game to go that long, because they didn't really prepare for that. They're like, oh crap, Abba's a big issue. We have to get Silver Edge, and overall it was a really tough game for them, because it shouldn't have been at that point. Match MVP, definitely Freeze, I think, for me.
Yeah. Is that the best game he's played, Shiva, here at the including the group stage?
One of the more flashy ones.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I think, yeah. I mean, we've seen him play solid before, but Storm is a hero that you can play very flashy on. I mean, that's why
you can't fail to play flashy.
Yeah,
you have to play flashy.
Exactly, and that's also why we remember Tamil still from TI.
Okay, we're going to cross over to the stage where there is an interview. So Jack's going to do the translation for us.
Just Wow, 老队长，此时此刻心里面什么样的感觉 ？How do you feel right now, ROTK?
我现在只想比个心。
比个心嘛，来，我帮你拿一下。来。Just wants to make a heart out to the fans. 好的，那我们回归比赛，来，先来问一下亚巴顿这个英雄呢，我们知道是一个拿出来之后胜率为0的英雄。
Hadn't won a single game before this, but you're the first person to have gotten a win at this tournament. How'd you do that?
哎，我们就来聊一聊亚巴顿这个英雄。
Let's talk about Abaddon. How do you see this hero, especially in this game? How'd you guys get the win here? This hero, I think, is still pretty strong, but it feels like in this competition it's really just cursed or something. 0 and 10 hadn't won before. I was a little shaking when we picked it too, and maybe it'll be 0 and 11 actually. But I felt it was still a good pick, easy to use, and we won. There's a really key point in this game where your Abaddon was dead, and then you bought back and came back into the fight. What were you thinking at the time? At the time we said this Roshan is the key to this game, most important fight in this game. So after I died, I realized that the other team had used all of their abilities, including BKBs, so I immediately bought back and said, you know what, let's do it, we have to take this Aegis, and give me this Aegis and we'll be fine. Just all you need is an Aegis and can carry everyone. Let's ask you again, ROTK. This team, let's just say everyone looked very highly upon, but didn't play so well in the group stage. According to people's expectations, how do you feel about getting this win here in the playoffs? Can you talk to us about how you made adjustments after group stage? During matches, you're going to have ebbs and flows of how well you're playing and your form. For example, IG is performing very well right now, and for us, we haven't been doing so well in this competition. In this game, in terms of execution, I'm pretty happy with how I did. I think our team wasn't that easy to play. Our lineup wasn't that easy to play. It was hard for us to play these kind of frontal battles up against them, and so our big direction in this game was to move towards, we have to play for the late game, and then for team fights, we can never beat them during the first round of spells. We have to wait and kite them and play till later on. So it felt really good for us to win, and we all executed really well. Anything to say to your fans who support you? We're in the lower bracket, and we have to take it one at a time. And there are really strong teams down here, including good foreign teams. And in the winner bracket, there's IG. So hope in the lower bracket we can win some more matches and beat some more foreign teams, actually. ROTK, like we just said, when are you shaving your beard? He says, not going to be doing that during this match, but maybe in Kiev. And if we still can't win, I have to win for a Battle Cup. Settle for a Battle Cup win instead. Round of applause for ROTK. We hope ROTK's beard can be gotten rid of sooner. Thanks, ROTK. Break. Back to the next match.
Brilliant. Okay. So the beard apparently might just come off in Kiev, but it will come off eventually. Very happy ROTK there on the main stage. And the reason he's happy is because his team have advanced through the lower bracket. And out of the very deadly best of ones, let's show you the bracket as it lines up right now. Earlier today, we saw the upper bracket semi-finals completed. OG coming through with a 2-0 sweep over Newbie. Tough games both, though. And then IG coming through a very tough matchup with Team Empire, the surprise of DAC so far. So it's OG versus IG in the upper bracket final. They are guaranteed a top 3 finish. In the lower bracket, we've had 2 so far, 2 down, 2 to go. IG Vitality and Team VGJ both through safely into the next round. Iconic names everywhere, and it continues next as Wings take on Evil Geniuses, and we'll finish off with Team Liquid versus Faceless. So there it is. We'll wrap things up on the panel on the last game. Where do NP go from here? Because obviously no Kiev either. Out of here early, having, you know, when you switch back and rewind, Kevin, 4 games ago they were in 2nd place in Group B.
Yeah, reminding me they're not going to Kiev made me hurt for them a little bit.
It does hurt, doesn't it?
How close they were to upper bracket. They go from literally 3 games, just got to win 1. They don't make it, don't get top 6. Go to lower bracket, instantly out. That's got to be rough. They don't have a lot to look forward to in the next few months.
They got a direct invite to the Middle Masters, did they?
So they got one thing.
Yep.
Yes.
Less than like a month and a half. Battle Cups, keep winning Battle Cups.
Let's go for
Serious Cup, because this is one of those questions I ask usually after a major.
Yes.
Do we think these boys will stay together in entirety, or do you think they might just make 1 or 2 changes after Kiev?
See, I think that they still believe in themselves, and I would imagine that all of them come from teams where they jump from one team to another and get kicked, I think they're gonna stick with this and see how it goes, because there's been so many teams that have been doing well and get rewarded for sticking together, and I think that they want to experience the same thing here.
And they're very brand focused as well. It's not like they're just jumping in because it's a sponsor. It feels like a thing that they're all a part of. They're doing a great job with that kind of stuff. So
and they still realistically have a shot at making TI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. They can definitely still make it. I mean, on this track, I don't know if they'll get invited, but depending on how many other good teams. If they win the Manila
Masters, they'd get invited, I would imagine.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
it could change very quickly.
It can change very quickly, and there's a lot of guesswork, and we obviously can't see in the player's mind, so we don't know for sure. But I think that they would stick together, unless someone gets an offer they can't refuse. It can happen.
It could. There's not a lot of other unstable teams right now, though. I don't know.
No, I mean after Kiev.
It's
are you
like their timing
veggies
is
anytime soon? Are you becoming available?
I'm out. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, really? I didn't actually.
I didn't even play in the last one. No, I'm just kidding. I just feel like NP as a team is off. They're like shifted off of all the other teams' rhythms right now because they didn't make the major. Yeah. Normally you go to that, things don't go so well, things line up. I think minimum they're sticking around. It's a bad sign we're having the talk, though, about it. Are they going to stick together? That's what it's getting to that time of the team. So I don't know. We'll see, but it's too bad they went out like that.
Yeah, it is very, very disappointing for them. Thank you to all 3 of you. As I said, we are headed to a break now, but when we come back, my goodness, you do not want to miss the next one. It is a battle for the ages. Wings going head-to-head